Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Trial Gaming. It's Tag Weekly, Week 16. It's time to talk about it's pretty dang hard to find a job, ain't it? Now, that's not to say there aren't a lot of jobs, but first, this is a topical weekly series where I will talk about a topic. If it's something that requires research, I will make sure I put my effort and time into it. But if it's just something that's a little ranty or topical about my life, I will just go about it. And if you guys have suggestions for a topic next week, put it in the comments. Probably will be selected. So, finding a job, guys. I've applied to, I don't even want to think of the number. How many have I applied to in the last month? 100? 150? Something like that. Ooh. Anyways, guys, when it comes down to it, I apply to a ton of jobs. And every morning waking up to no's, we moved on to other candidates, you were a finalist, whatever they say in their little stupid email. It's demoralizing. It's hard. And when you apply to so many jobs you've been looking for so long, and there's some jobs you get so close to final yes, you got the job, and you just get a no, and it punches you in the gut. It's rough. Now, I have experience mostly in the tech field, and that's where I'd like to stay. I love technology. I love tech, and I am so comfortable with it. And I very much like helping people when it comes to tech. And that's my dream. But it's amazing how hard it is to get a job. Now, I've had some bad experiences, and I don't know if this is saying every single one of the companies I apply to is like this, but I've had interviews where people are like, okay, so I see these years you worked at a non-tech related company. So you didn't do anything. I'm like, I technically worked, but you didn't work in tech, and they see it as a void year instead of me having other experience or getting another job. It's amazing how some companies see certain things as a void year, even if sometimes it's related. Like, okay, prime example, not going to shout out any company's name or anything. I applied to a company, right? And they looked at my past tech support experience and saw, okay, that's super, you have this. Oh, you work for this company, that's great. Then they saw one thing that had to do with data entry. Now, here's the interesting part. The data entry I was talking about actually has technological implications. Yet they viewed it as a no because it didn't have the word tech, like something else like debug or something like that. And they just saw data entry, despite data being a keyword, I guess, whatever. They viewed it as a void year. And I'm like, why? I have tons of jobs, by the way, that aren't just a year long, just a formality there in case someone comments that saying, oh, if it's only a year. I'm just kind of talking some hyperbole there about like, oh, it's a year off, because some jobs are shorter than that because I've had contract jobs. Some years are longer than that because other jobs. But anyways, it's demoralizing to wake up every morning and wake up to a bunch of no's. You're not good enough. And I've had my resume checked by, resume checkers, analysts, stuff like that. It passed all the tests for everyone. I do mock interviews. I do interviews. People, give me real feedback about what's good and what's bad. And it's tough when, you go through all this effort, you get to the second or third, and you just missed out on a job. And when it happens so many times, if you apply to, let's count small here, 150, 200 jobs a month, and, you wake up to, in a month's time, 150 to 200 no's. Emotionally, it drags you down. I can't wake up to a significant other or someone who can brighten my day. It's something that it drags you down. It drains you. And the thing I'm afraid of is trying to go outside the tech field. Because anytime I come back and I have anything not related to tech for a small period, a lot of companies, at least my experience with the ones I applied to, see them as void years. And it's like, I really want to work in tech, and there's a difference between surviving and living. I'm not going to survive. I want to live. I want a job where I can come home and not be so depressed about my job or, anything like that. I want to come home and have a job where it's like, it could have been a rough day. It could have been a bad day, but at least I enjoy the field. And that's it. I love technology. Taking apart computers. When I was a little kid, I took apart old computers. I played around. I learned the parts. I build computers, obviously. I repair stuff. Wiring, I kind of wish I got into soldering. I never did. programming is something that I always kind of thought about. And then anytime any of my tech friends who are even more into tech than I am did any, they were like, don't do coding. It's no, you have to have a very special, there's a certain level of masochism for coding. And I was like, oh, no, I'll go over here with the rest of the tech. Thanks. Not to say anything bad about coders. You know, without you coders, we wouldn't have anything in the world, internet-based and technology-based. But it's ultimately one of those things where, like, in the tech field, tech support, debug, testing, even as simple as data entry, data management, et cetera, all that stuff is so, I don't want to say completely 100% fun, because there's always going to be bad days, monotonous days, repetitive days. But I always, at least, even if it's a bad day, wake up and, like, don't regret going to work. Unlike something like retail, where I was literally thinking, you know, if the earth exploded right now, it wouldn't be the worst thing. And, you know, that's ultimately what it is. I don't want to survive. I want to live. And thankfully, I'm in a position where I can say that. But it's like, it is tough to wake up to multiple hundreds of no's on job applications. It's tough to get so close and strike out. And ultimately, I want to know, you guys, have you had this experience before? Have you moved away from a field or wanted to try to approach a field and just couldn't because there's a barrier to entry, pretty much? You know, it's one of those things where when I was young and I was like fresh out of high school, even still in high school, my first job was when I was still in high school, I could go and hand a paper resume in. I know. And talk to somebody. Have them meet me. Now, all my information, everything has to be so worded at the top. It has to grab their attention. It's like I'm writing a novel just to get a job. And not in the length, but in like the hook. I have to write a paper, a thesis, and grant it to a board to determine if my specific set of experiments pass, if I get funding for my experimentations to take place. It's amazing that that's what jobs have evolved to. And it's amazing how sometimes it's one or two people who, they don't like a specific word, they don't like the way a sentence is structured, even if it's correctly structured, they can say no. Isn't that insane? Sometimes some people, and again, not saying companies, I've heard people in interviews say, oh yeah, I was like, oh yeah, thank you for getting to the next round. You passed, you gave that vibe check. And I'm like, I'm sorry, for a job, you're going off of a vibe check? Like, oh, what? You know, it's ridiculous sometimes with these jobs and what stuff comes of it. And I'm not saying I have major degrees. I'm not saying I should be top line. And yeah, there's a lot of people who are probably better suited for certain positions. But when it comes down to it, I'm amazed how many times they get so close and miss out. Like, there must be so many people looking for jobs right now that I have failed hundreds of applications in the last year. And it's emotionally damaging. It's emotionally draining. And every day I almost feel like just giving up. Like, what's the point of keep applying if I'm just going to get no's? You know, do I accept a lesser job? No, because that means lesser of me, in my opinion. That's not saying if any other people have to accept something less, that's lesser of them. No, everything I do for myself or critique myself is about myself. And you know what? I'll critique myself harsher than any other person out there. I am one of those like self-perfectionists where I hate anything I do even slightly wrong. But someone else can make a mistake, and if it's understandable, I would not completely understand. So I'm kind of weird like that. But my point is, have you looking for a job recently or done anything, seen the struggles, experienced the struggle I'm talking about? Let me know down in the comments, guys. But now that I'm ranting's done, let's talk about the former tag blog goals. All right, guys, lose weight. Honestly, I haven't been working out much. The stress of a lot of no's. I woke up one day to like 20 no's just bummed me out. And there's some days where I just focus so much on applying, looking at my resume. The other night, actually, before I was streaming, this last weekend, I actually spent like 4 hours looking at my resume trying to figure out what was wrong. And, it was just one of those things where it didn't look wrong at all. And so losing weight, I don't know if I think I'm probably gaining, honestly. Find a job. That's the whole point of this, I wish. Get a video sponsor. If this channel was big enough to get a video sponsor, I can get money coming through the channel more and make a living off it. God, that'd be a dream. But get a video sponsor would be a first big milestone. Smart UK, go to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Digimon event. Been too depressed. Recently this month, my Digimon locals, I only do green decks. I don't have a single green deck. I don't have a green deck built. I don't have enough cards for a green deck. I could not go to a single Digimon event because everything was like a green deck month. It was interesting. Or at least one of the events. The other event I couldn't go to. Anyways, Yu-Gi-Oh! My Yu-Gi-Oh's, ever since the horrible announcement with the WCS here in Seattle, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has struggled in my opinion. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be dead here, and maybe time for me to think it's dead too permanently. Ursa, collab with the YouTube 5K plus subs about channels. That would be another milestone indicating I have reached a certain amount of growth. And it would be big for indicating that this channel is going to continue to grow and improve. And I believe it always will. 5K plus subs is a lot. And it has to be on both channels with a Yuki-tuber. This may be changed to a YouTuber if I fully quit Yu-Gi-Oh! This is going to be a discussion video of its own at some point later. Get to 500 subs. We're at 366. We're kind of stagnant right now. But I know content has kind of been shortened out this last few weeks. Last week or so, I've gotten a ton of no's, guys. And it's the reason I made this is... mentally, I am depressed, and while I love making content, when I'm getting a bunch of no's, I double my efforts on applying to jobs. I spend most of the time there. I'm getting frustrated at almost everything I do because of it. It's kind of tough, guys, but content's coming. I got a bunch going. I'm making sure when I stream, most of my content I stream, some of it will double as content, and I really maximize my time and efficiency. And yeah, guys, if you're subscribed, I want to thank you so much. It means the world to me. Now, guys, let's wrap this Tag Weekly up by saying I want to thank you guys. I hope each and every one of you who watched this, who subscribed, who've liked anything with any of my videos, have a great and wonderful day. Hopefully everything's going great for you. And, you know, if you ever want to talk about anything, guys, just put it down in the comments and we'll talk about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time. Tag out. I want to give a special thank you to all my Patreon members. Urza and Scott, you're amazing. If you guys want to check out Patreon and join it to get a shout out at the end, check Patreon down in the link to the description below. And you can also, like Scott did, make me re-record this.